Into every generation, a Slayer is born.
Grr. Arg.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 5 of Bill and Frank Eat Pop Culture. I'm Frank, and alongside me, as always, is the angel to my Spike, Bill. How you doing, Bill?
Good, and I'm glad I'm Angel in this situation. He's the man. And I, quite frankly, when I have sex, I lose my soul.
Is that what happens?
That's what happens. So for everybody wondering why I got divorced, that's what it is. I got it back now, though.
How'd you get it back?
I'm not having sex anymore.
Oh, okay.
No, that's a lie. I think we all know it.
Bill, you are sex.
I am winning. I'll tell you that much.
All right, everybody. So just to be a little self-aware here, because if there's one thing we are not, Bill and I, is liars and scammers. So this is a canned episode and recorded ahead of time, which means
My fault.
Okay. I was gonna kind of leave that open, but because Bill is so important and has so many other responsibilities, we were unable to record something topical for this week. We put one down for you ahead of time on kind of a timeless topic. Yet still kind of relevant in the zeitgeist, especially with some of the announcements that have been made these past couple of weeks. And I think it'll end up being a good episode. Bill, anything to add before we jump into it?
Yeah, I apologize. When this thing drops, when you find people are listening to it, I will be in Los Angeles for work. Really, I mean, it's for work, but I'll be just doing a lot of drinking, which is fun. That's the reason I couldn't record. I mean, I suppose we could have done it from my hotel room, but I'm not sure what the schedule is going to be like. There'll be a 3-hour time difference. It just would have been a little too hard. So we decided this was going to be the way to go. We have kind of a fun topic to start out with that's probably going to inspire some debate. So let's have at it.
All right, so this is going to be fun. This is one of my favorite topics because I am a huge Batman guy. We are going to discuss today argue the rankings of the Batmen that have appeared on screen, large or small, and kind of in the celebration, or in some people's case, mourning of the announcement of the next Batman / Bruce Wayne, Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, it's been divisive for sure. Which is not, before we get into the specific dudes, like Batman is no stranger to divisive casting. There's been a lot. I mean, as you'll see, like, you kind of forget when you go back through the history of Batman, there hasn't really been sort of any Batman casting where people were like, oh, that's the prototypical Batman. And even his villains, like, if you remember, we all look back now like we all knew Heath Ledger was going to be the best Joker ever, but we didn't. People were storming the gates of DC when that announcement came out. So, I mean, you got to take the stuff with a grain of salt. You never know who's going to be good. I wasn't thrilled when Chris Evans was cast as Captain America. Now he's arguably my favorite part of the MCU. What was your initial, literally first thing as the neurons in your brain started firing when you read this? What was your first instant reaction?
Disgust and depression.
Okay, why?
Because my first thought was, I never really thought Robert Pattinson was that good of an actor.
Okay.
Number 2, I think he's too pretty. And number 3, he's a skinny, scrawny British dude. It's like, I think of my Bruce Wayne and my head is like a slab of meat.
Right.
With a big shock absorber of a neck.
Right. So my reaction to this was the opposite. I liked it. I think for what Reeves looks like he's trying to sell, which is Batman being a detective, it's going to be a more noir kind of movie. he sort of, to me, looks like a gumshoe from the 50s. Like, it depends on how he's dressed, obviously. Like, if you're looking at him from Twilight, then no, he doesn't. But like, or from Harry Potter.
Yeah, it's hard to look like it's hard to look like a gumshoe from the 50s when you're wearing a Hufflepuff robe.
Exactly. And I actually think he's done a lot of little seen, but pretty good work. He's really worked hard to distance himself from Twilight. Like, not all of them have been great movies, but his performances have really not been terrible. They just haven't been seen by a lot of people. So, like, when this news comes out, the reaction you had is, unfortunately, or, expectedly, the reaction of a lot of people. I do think he needs to bulk up. I mean, the good news is he has time to do that. He needs to bulk up and become a little more threatening if he's going to be Batman. I don't so much mind the British part of it. Bale's British.
Australian.
Yeah, but either way, he has an accent is what I'm saying. So, like, I'm fine with that. He's handsome. I can see him as like a playboy billionaire. Like, was Michael Keaton like your idea of a Bruce Wayne when that was announced?
I don't know. I mean, I was so young when that was announced. I don't know that I had. I mean, at that point, my idea of a Bruce Wayne was Adam West. So,
right.
I mean, I was in. It was '89. I was in like 4th or 5th grade. I wasn't reading Year One or Dark Knight Returns, so I didn't really have like a dark, brooding,
right,
badass image yet imprinted on my brain.
So we'll get into this when we rank, but like, I think you can make the case that, like, but regardless, I've really sort of come around on unconventional casting. I think it's sort of great to not always give people what they expect. Like, Chris Evans is a great example. Even Robert Downey Jr. was sort of a great example back in the day.
Hugh Jackman's a great fucking example.
Hugh Jackman's a great example. Like, nobody knew who Hugh Jackman was, but I remember when I first saw him, I was like, this is wrong.
To further expand on that, I remember sitting down on the toilet to take a dump, and the Entertainment Weekly magazine had just come out, and it had the fold out cover of the new cast of the X-Men, in all their gimmicks. And I remember looking at it and thinking, this looks friggin' corny as shit.
Right.
But those first two movies were fantastic. And Hugh Jackman's arguably, maybe next to Robert Downey Jr., turned out to be the best superhero casting yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, and Wolverine in the comics is short, thick, and ugly. Hugh Jackman is sort of tall, ripped, and really handsome. So, I mean, subverting expectations is not always the worst thing.
So anyway, so you asked me my initial reaction. So moving, as it went on, I started to like think about it and look at pictures and read articles and things. I'm kind of where you are now. I'm like, you know what? It's different. And on top of that, I started to think like, well, who would you have wanted to play Batman? And I nobody came to mind.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't really come up with somebody who I was going like, that should be Batman. So I said, you know what? Let's see what happens. We'll give it a shot. I'm not going to pass judgment until I see the movie. And you know what? I'm such a Batman fan. If it was up to me, a new Batman movie would come out every week.
Right.
I hope he's awesome, and I hope he knocks it out of the park.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way.
I'm not sold yet, but I'm just saying I'm not like disgusted and signing any petitions.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Like, I didn't really have a pick. I think if like they had gone with a direct continuation of the Batman that like Ben Affleck had established, like an older, more grizzled Batman, I always liked John Hamm, especially because he has the chin. But the way this looks like it's going to be, where it's going to be sort of a in the past story of a young Bruce Wayne or a young Batman, I'm all for, if Matt Reeves, who seems like he's a really good director, saw something in whatever audition process there was for Robert Pattinson, then I'm going to go ahead and trust him.
So is that where we're going now with DC movies? Like, is this the new avenue they're taking? Like, they're just going to make these one-off silo, universe movies like Joker and the Batman, and like, is that what they're doing now? Or are they not trying to build a universe? Have they abandoned that? What, like, do you know? Does anybody know?
I don't think anybody knows for sure. I think maybe even DC doesn't know for sure. But I think they've had their best success so far with Aquaman and Wonder Woman, sort of just establishing them on their own. And those have been arguably their two best movies since the Nolan trilogy ended and the DCU started. I think another team up movie is not out of the question. I think it's clear that Aquaman and Wonder Woman exist in the same world. But I don't think they know what they're doing as far as an interconnected universe until they figure out, like, no one seems to really know if Henry Cavill is still Superman. Affleck is obviously definitely done. And I think they don't know what they're doing with present day Batman right now. Shazam, which did really well, was clearly in the same world as all the DC, as Superman and Batman and Aquaman and Wonder Woman. They made references. There's a bunch of Easter eggs. Superman fucking appeared in the movie. So,
Yeah.
there's that. So, I don't think
Also, by the way, before just one quick second, if you haven't seen Shazam, go watch it. It's super fun. It is super, super fun. And Zachary Levi is fucking awesome.
Yeah,
all right, go ahead.
It's really worth watching. It's so that movie to me at least gave the indication that they haven't abandoned anything. And it'll be really interesting when James Gunn's Suicide Squad sequel comes out, because that should be in the current DC universe. The Suicide Squad movie, the Birds of Prey movie, which is sort of like the Harley Quinn centralized movie, they're all due in the next year or two. So it'll be interesting to see what they surround those movies with. Does whoever's the new present day Batman make a cameo in the Suicide Squad movie? I don't know. We'll see. I don't think they've fully decided, which has been their MO. Like, their problem trying to compete with Marvel is that they fly by the seat of their pants. They don't plan ahead enough. Hopefully they're behind closed doors are planning ahead a little bit more. This Matt Reeves movie sounds awesome. I really don't have any problems with a sort of siloed, standalone Batman story, especially if it's year one-ish. I'm super fine with that.
All right, so we've got 6 Batmen. How do you want to do this, Bill? Do you want to...
I think we
argue who goes in each spot?
Yeah, I think we just start out with who's your favorite? Who is your favorite?
Are we starting favorite or are we starting least favorite?
I think we start. Well, you want to do least favorite? That's fine too. And I want to make it clear to both you and the people listening: the movie doesn't matter here. Whatever your favorite Batman movie is doesn't necessarily mean the Batman in that movie has to be your favorite. You know what I'm saying?
And we're not talking about the actor either. We're talking about the combination of the actor and his portrayal of Batman.
The actor and his combination, his portrayal of both Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Batman, right.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to start off here. I think we can both agree that the worst Batman was George Clooney.
Yeah, it's... You want to talk about the part of this debate that's not going to be a debate. I actually think he was fine for Bruce Wayne. George Clooney, especially at the time, had the reputation as a ladies' man and super handsome and all that stuff. He was, to me, the scenes that he was Bruce Wayne, even with the terrible hackneyed script, were fine. But I just never bought him as Batman.
Even the Batman credit card?
Right. But it is literally, it's a shame because it's impossible. Even with the disclaimer I just said, it's impossible to divorce yourself from how bad the movie was. He almost had no chance to be good.
So, to me, and this is going to get a little bit Batman nerdy, to me, it's really, really minimally not about at all how good the individual is as Bruce Wayne. Because the way I always looked at it is, Batman is the real identity and Bruce Wayne is the secret identity.
Right.
And Bruce Wayne died in Crime Alley the night his parents were killed, and that's when the Batman was born. And there is no Dana, only Zool, right? So, um, to me, it's all about how that person looks in that cow, looks, in that in his bat suit, and even if somebody's an amazing Bruce Wayne, I really, and I know you agreed with me that Clooney's the worst one, but that really, I never really take points off for that, and maybe but that's just me, the way I look at the character.
I mean,
I thought he was so. I just thought he looked so unthreatening as Batman.
agreed. And to your previous point, I agree with you that the Bruce Wayne part of it is a lot less important than the Batman part of it. But I also need to believe like his Bruce Wayne alter ego, even if Batman's the real thing and Bruce Wayne's the disguise has to match. Like I have to be able to believe that this guy is like capable of pulling off the billionaire playboy thing. Like that's still important.
All right, so why don't you take the next one, number 5?
So number 5, I kind of feel like it's going to be a little controversial. I'm not sure if you're going to. I don't know where you stand, but for me, it's Adam West. Again, the TV show was. You want to talk about non-threatening? It was so cheesy. Adam West never looked threatening in that sort of leotard that he had to wear. It's just not the Batman I like. So, it was always, he was always super melodramatic with all of his line deliveries. It's just not my favorite thing. I love Adam West and his like sort of place in pop culture. I love watching those old episodes in the old movie with the bat shark repellent spray and all that stuff. But it just doesn't. I mean, when I picture my Batman, you have to be really bad. You have to be Clooney level bad for me not to rank Adam West last. Now I know that's good. Like a lot of people love the Adam West Batman. So and if you do, I'm perfect. I get it. But I don't.
I would not put him 5th.
Okay.
For the first 10 years of my life, he was the only Batman I knew.
Me
right?
too. Yeah,
like,
me too.
That's how Adam West is how I became aware that there was a Caped Crusader out there named Batman. Yes, it was campy, and yet, but it's all we had, right? And that doesn't make it good or him good, but like I said, he introduced the character to me. And without Adam West, and here's my take, and I'm not just saying this for me, I'm saying this for everybody. Without Adam West as that Batman, I think 2 things don't happen. I think, number 1, I don't think Frank Miller's Year One and Dark Knight Returns is as shocking and as causes the reaction in the paradigm shift that it did. And number 2, I don't think Tim Burton's Batman movies are as successful and once again like shocking and new and different, because before Michael Keaton put on that cowl, our last version was Adam West. And I think it kind of Burton's Batman kind of got a rub from what West was versus what he put out there.
I mean,
if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, but it also doesn't. Like, I understand what you're saying, but that's also a lot more to do with the movie itself than the Batman portrayal.
What do you mean?
Like, I think Burton's movies got the rub more because they were so much more of a grittier take on Batman than.
I'm talking about Keaton. I mean, because Keaton's hanging dudes off buildings and he's talking in a dark voice and he's he wears the black costume and he's got the black eye makeup and
Right, I get it. I'm just saying, like, I don't know that, like, just because Adam West played it so much more cheesy and that made Keaton so much different, that we should really give Adam West credit for that. I get what you're saying, even if I don't agree with it.
Well, it's definitely more a nostalgic reason for me,
right? For sure.
Admittedly.
Yep.
So that being said, my number 5 be Val Kilmer.
I knew you were going to say that,
and it's only just because of process of elimination. I didn't think Val Kilmer was bad. I just think everybody else meant more to the character than he did.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Um,
I get it.
I don't know the reasons. I'm sure you do why he only did one movie, but yeah, I mean that's where I would put Val Kilmer.
Kilmer is my number 4. He was
Okay.
on my list. He's interesting because like I don't think he did a bad job, and I don't think he did a good job. I think he was a really excellent placeholder. You know, like he didn't bring anything to it, but he didn't also make me want to kill myself watching it. I certainly think he was overshadowed in his own movie by Jim Carrey, but that's not necessarily his fault. Yeah, I think he was just kind of there. He was a very sort of vanilla Batman. I'm not sure. Like, if we didn't have George Clooney to compare him to, I'm not sure Kilmer is super intimidating in the Batsuit either. Like, he didn't strike me as like the kind of guy that, you know, was going to strike fear into people's hearts as much as Batman should. So, like, I guess, you know, the best and worst thing I can say about Kilmer is that he didn't help and he didn't hurt. He was just kind of like a steady as she goes.
I guess my biggest thing is he just didn't add anything to the character.
Right. Yeah. That's what that's pretty much what my point.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So who's your number? Who's your 4 then?
So who we got left? We got.
Well, yeah. We've both used. Well, you haven't used Adam West yet. I've used Clooney, West, and Kilmer.
Yeah. Okay. So my number 4 then is Adam West.
Yep. Okay. So like our bottom 3 are the same. We just flipped Kilmer and Adam West. That's interesting to me. I thought we'd be different.
Well, I think we're going to be different in the top 3.
Probably.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Number 3 for you.
Number 3 for me is Christian Bale.
Yeah,
I know. Everybody loves him. And this is why I sort of made the disclaimer of like, we're not talking about best movies here. We're talking about best Batman. Because the best Batman movie is The Dark Knight. I sort of never really ended. I really never came around on his Batman growl. I didn't like it. This is going to sound offensive, but like sometimes I thought he sounded sort of retarded.
That is offensive.
Like very lispy and like sometimes you couldn't even understand what he was saying. I thought he did a good job at like being a menacing Batman as long as he didn't open his mouth. But it's really the voice bothered me, and I don't know, something just never really clicked in for me. Like it was never bad, obviously. You know, out of 6 Batman, I have him 3rd, so it's not awful. But I always thought that he was never the standout in any of his movies. To me, he was always overshadowed by the performance of the actor playing the villain. Although I did buy. He was a good Bruce Wayne. They really played the Bruce Wayne part up very little in the Nolan trilogy. I thought like that was the least concentrated on Bruce Wayne, which is probably.
I disagree.
I don't know. I think that's probably why I was figuring that's why you liked it. Batman Begins, there was a lot of Bruce Wayne, but not a ton in the latter 2. Certainly not in Rises.
Well, that was going to be my point. Is that I would argue that out of any of the Batmen, he's the only one that made me actually value his Bruce Wayne because of Batman Begins.
Yeah,
and when he goes off, and when he's stealing the Wayne stuff, and when he's training with he's training in Nandar Parbat and all that, you know. So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I get it. Like, and let me also say, like, these top 3 are like splitting dick hairs here. Like, there's not like a huge gulf between. Like, to me, there's a huge gulf between Bale and Kilmer, but there's not a huge gulf between 1, 2, and 3. Like, there's a clear drop off to me after 3. There's 3 to me. There's 3 good Batman and 3 meh Batman.
Yeah. So this is going to be controversial, but mine 3 is Michael Keaton.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. I knew it.
And you know, now listen. Let me just preface this. I am a huge Michael Keaton fan. My dad, like one of his favorite people, is Michael Keaton.
I know.
I think he's one of the coolest human beings to ever work in Hollywood. I love his mannerisms. I love the way he talks. I think when he wants to be, there's nobody funnier. I love him. I always have. I mean, Gung Ho, Mr. Mom, Night Shift. Like he's just I love him.
Beetlejuice.
When I was a kid, Beetlejuice, Jesus Christ. When I was a kid and he was cast as Batman, Michael Keaton was still like the cool of the cool. So I was super excited about it and I liked it. I still like it to this day for those movies. I don't think you could take him out of those two movies and put him in any of the other Batman movies and it would work.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that. Maybe not, I mean, really, maybe not. Maybe just not the Bale movies. But I certainly think he was supposed to come back for Forever, and I think he would have been fine in that movie.
In what movie?
In Batman Forever.
Okay. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase. He wouldn't have worked in the Nolan movies or the Snyder movies.
Maybe not. But
okay.
for its time and place, it's almost not fair. I have to judge him on the time and place he did it.
Totally.
I was certainly not. I love Michael Keaton as well, but when that casting announcement came out, I was old enough to be like, no, this is not right. And I was so wrong. Like I never thought Michael Keaton could be an intimidating Batman, but he was. He was an intimidating Batman. You don't look back on it now, maybe because the other movies that have followed have been so gritty. But that opening scene of Batman, that is tremendous. It is tremendous work. And
once again, splitting dick hairs.
Right. And also, like, the other criticism of Keaton was he's odd looking. So you can't buy him as like the billionaire playboy Bruce Wayne, which I understand. But like, he's my favorite Bruce Wayne. To this day, he is. Because he's the only one to me that played him like weirdly eccentric, which is sort of Keaton being Keaton, but it's still my favorite.
When they're sitting at the dining room table.
Yes. Or when he's like
past the salt.
Or when he follows Allie Knox and Vicky Vale around the mansion and like doesn't tell them he's Bruce Wayne. And like, I love that whole sort of wry humor he plays it with that no one else has done since. It's still my favorite version certainly of Bruce Wayne. That's less important than Batman, but yeah, I disagree on that one. But yeah, so I have Bale at 3, you have Keaton at 3. It kind of makes me think our 2 is going to be the same, but I'm not sure.
My number 2 is Affleck.
Yeah, so mine too.
Which is crazy. I never thought in a million years yours would be number 2. Yours would be Affleck as well.
And I mean, listen. Honestly, it was like Sophie's choice. I almost wanted to put him at 1.
Yeah, and let me tell you why. He looks like Batman.
Yep.
He is built like Batman. He wears that suit. He wore the bat suit better than anybody.
Right. I have massive problems with the movies he was in as Batman, but I thought his portrayal of Batman was dead on.
And it pissed me off when people would blame him and say, Batfleck and this and that. It wasn't his fault. No. He was fucking awesome. He looked like him. Yeah. He carried himself like him. He brooded like him. The workout scene in the Batcave, like he made everything he did. You know what? I might be talking myself into making him number 1.
Especially to me, like he did the boiling rage underneath better than anybody. Like every time he put on a bat suit, he seemed fucking angry to me, which is what I wanted.
Exactly. Yeah. And like whenever he did anything, I thought to myself, that's what Batman would look like doing it.
Yep. Really, honestly, like I'm sort of going against my own disclaimer, but the only reason he's not 1 is because like,
yeah, I was just going to say this, Bill. It's impossible to separate him from those movies.
Also, the other thing, the big thing to me is like, he never fronted a Batman movie, which is odd.
Wow, that's a great point.
It's odd to think of, but he was never the star of the movie. He was co-lead in Batman Superman, obviously, and then he was in ensemble with Justice League, and he did the cameo in Suicide Squad, which was seriously the best part of Suicide Squad. But like, I feel like we all got ripped off by not having a Ben Affleck fronted solo Batman movie. I mean, I think we're going to look back and really wish we had it.
Yeah. And so, I mean, kind of the same thing with me, the reasons why he's not my number 1, Yeah, we said we can't blame the movie. However, his Batman character did some things that Batman would never do. Like his Batman character killed a lot of people,
Yeah.
like with a gun.
Yeah.
Um, Batman would that's what makes Batman Batman. Like he doesn't cross that line. I mean, and he has put himself through hell and the people he loves through hell because he won't cross that line.
Right.
And because he won't cross that line, so many more people have died than would have needed to if he would have just put some of his rogues gallery down. But in this movie, he's just shooting up henchmen like they're grinded chicken. And yeah, he's never fronted a movie. We never got to see him in a movie with a good writer and director. I, I was so excited for the Ben Affleck written and directed Batman movie.
Me too. Me too.
And I got to tell you, I think it's one of the crimes of humanity that we're never going to see it.
Yeah,
now,
I really was looking forward to like The Town, except it was a Batman movie.
Right. I mean, watch The Town and picture him in a cape and cowl.
Right. I mean, all right.
And it pisses me off when people go, "Oh, Ben Affleck, oh, he was awful." No, he wasn't. That's bullshit.
The movie's wrong.
You either don't know what the fuck you're talking about, or you're blaming the movie on him. Yeah. And the reason those movies sucked weren't Henry Cavill's fault and weren't Ben Affleck's fault.
Nope. Jesse Eisenberg, kinda, but
Jesse Eisenberg was fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Are you the Joker or are you Lex Luthor? Which are you?
Or the Riddler.
Or the Riddler, right? So do you know what? Did he walk away, or was it amicable?
I think he got tired of A, being the scapegoat for everything that went wrong. B, like the constant questions. C, it seemed like Reeves wanted to go younger, and like it really looked like if he wanted to be Batman again, he was going to be waiting a long time. So I think he was just like, you know what? You're going to get a new young Batman in this Matt Reeves movie. It's a good time to be done with it. I think as soon as he decided not to direct it, it was over. So it's a shame. It really is a shame. I agree. So, I mean,
it is a shame. Before Batman Superman came out, it was like when he had just gotten divorced. I was in, or maybe Batman Superman had come out. I can't remember, but I was in Disney World. And I was in the Magic Kingdom. I know you're shocked by this. And Mary was like on Facebook, I guess, like while we were waiting in the line. And we were in Adventureland. And she's like, "Oh my God, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner are over. They're in the Magic Kingdom. They're over in Fantasyland on Dumbo right now." Because somebody had seen them and had posted something on Facebook.
Right.
And I marked out so hard. I completely abandoned Mary and our 18-month-old baby and 5-year-old, 6-year-old twins, and like jumped out of the line that we were waiting in and sprinted. And it's probably like a mile and a half. Sprinted all the way over to Fantasyland, and I was like juking and jiving and like jumping all over the place, trying to like just like see him. Because I'm a Ben Affleck guy anyway. But even more so the fact like that it was Batman, I was so happy that he was the Batman.
Yep.
And I never found him, but it was a sad story. But I was in the Magic Kingdom the same day as Batman.
Now I'm depressed.
I'm sorry.
All right, so by process of elimination, that means you like Bale and I like Keaton.
So I mean, you kind of went into your Keaton thing.
Yeah, we kind of both have already covered it. Because when I ranked,
well, I mean, Bale, I never really.
When I ranked Bale third, you kind of told why you liked him best.
Yeah, I mean, well, no, I just said I said out of anybody, he did Bruce Wayne the best as far as I'm concerned. But I mean, the reason why he's my number one Batman is, I mean, yeah, he didn't look as menacing as Ben Affleck, but he still looked menacing.
Mm-hmm.
And the way, what's that?
Till he spoke.
The way he moved. And the way he hit the fight scenes in those movies, and the way, his brutality in those movies, I just like, to me, it's that he played the best ninja Batman. And at the end of the day, that's what Batman is, right? So like he's Sherlock Holmes that's a ninja. Now, Bale's Batman didn't do as much detectiving
or
I
any.
mean, well, no, because in Dark Knight he does the ballistics with the bullet and the brick and all that. I mean, he does some, but
Some.
it's not the focus of
Sure.
his Batman.
Yep.
But um, as far as like Batman, that is the ninja trained League of Assassins Batman, Christian Bale, which is what the Batman is in the comic books. Christian Bale, to me, beat that out of the park.
Well, it's what Batman is in the comic books now. I mean, there have been a lot of different iterations of comic book Batman. So, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I don't know. It just never clicked with me. I never really liked him. I rooted for the other Batman more than Bale. And like I said before, it's not even really his fault, but I thought, Liam Neeson was better in Begins. I was more interested in the villain. Ledger, we don't even have to talk about. And even Tom Hardy in the third one. I don't know. It always seems like his Batman was sort of taking a back seat, which is more of a function of the script than anything else. But really, when it comes down to it, it's just personal taste. I just didn't like him as much.
All right, Bill. So we've got the last Fox X-Men property film coming out this week.
Sad.
Is it sad?
Not really.
I got a couple questions for you.
Okay.
Of course, we're talking about Dark Phoenix. Number one, should they have let this movie come out?
In an ideal world, kind of no. But like once you've spent $150 million, it doesn't really matter what happens. You kind of have to at least try to make some money back. And it's a comic book movie. And there, as much as it sounds crazy, there are devoted fans of this franchise that will go. I'm going to go. So yeah, I mean, there's no way they could prevent it from coming out, but it's unfortunate because it's a lame duck. Everybody knows the Fox universe is over. It's not going to go anywhere from here. It's even more unfortunate because it's the best X-Men storyline ever. That is sort of just going to be sitting there like a lame duck. I actually really like Sophie Turner as Jean Grey, so that makes me sad too. But all that being said, these characters, this cast, they need to go away. Like, I think James McAvoy is a great actor. I think Michael Fassbender is a great actor. I think Nicholas Hoult is a great actor. I think Jennifer Lawrence is a great actress. But I think everybody's kind of had their fill. I think the X-Men really kind of need to just go away for a good 4 or 5 years, and then Marvel should reintroduce them somehow.
I didn't like First Class.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I had major issues with it. And I'm a James McAvoy, Jennifer Lawrence guy, but I did not like First Class. I just didn't like what they did with it.
Either.
I really enjoyed Days of Future Past.
Me too. We're on the same page.
Apocalypse was a steamy piece of shit.
Horrible movie.
And besides Sophie Turner, I really didn't like the casting of any of the other new young X-Men.
Well, I don't mind the dude that played Quicksilver. He was in Days.
But he was from Days of Future Past.
I really don't mind the kid from Ready Player One that played Cyclops at all. I didn't love him, but I didn't hate him. I just think really the X-Men need to be turned over to a whole new creative group. The Simon Kinberg needs to go away. Like that guy he's been shepherding the X movies at Fox for ever. So they're just not. They just have not done a good job. Really, Days of Future Past was very good, but the last X-Men movie that was like a classic is probably X2, which is a long time ago now.
Right, I agree.
Actually, you know what? I take that back. I take it back.
Logan
was awesome, but that almost doesn't even feel like part of the same continuity.
Yeah, that's how bad the recent movies have been. I mean, it's like a different universe. So I'll go see it too, but only because my son, who's 10, going on 11, next month, he doesn't know any better, so he saw Apocalypse and thought it was like the coolest thing he ever saw because it's a superhero movie with all the X-Men in it.
Right. Of course.
So he liked it. Um, so I'll go see Dark Phoenix because he's actually really excited about it. There's been a couple things I've seen in the previews that look pretty cool, and there's like still this little part of me that's kind of hoping that we're all shocked and it's fucking awesome.
It's not
But
gonna
I
be.
just don't think it's going to be.
I'm the same way. Like, you know, a comic book movie is a comic book movie. Even bad ones, I still can find enjoyment and go in to see. Like, I went to see Ghost Rider 2 in the movie theater, so I'm going to go see this. Second, like, I don't know, the Dark Phoenix saga, the Claremont run on it is kind of what got me into comics. Like, so even if it's a shitty half attempt at it, I'm going to go see what they do because it's like, that is like one of the like holy grail storylines to me. Now, I know it's not going to be what I want it to be because what I want it to be is like, I want to see the Hellfire Club and all the lead up to her turning dark and all that stuff. And like, I understand that they're not going to get involved with the Shi'ar Empire and all that shit that they do in the Claremont run. I would like to see some sort of faithful adaptation. I'm not going to get it. I know I'm not. Just the fact that Jennifer Lawrence is even in the fucking movie is like, they should have killed her so long ago. She was out of place. She's been out of place since Days of Future Past. Like, they've only kept her in the movie because she's Jennifer Lawrence. That's it. Just so they can use her as in the marketing. She has no place. Mystique is not an X-Man for this long. She's way too good. Mystique is never this good. Like, there's so many problems. Fassbender's the same way. Like, Magneto should have been written out. Like, he didn't need to be in all of these movies.
Yeah, hey, here's a note for all you people out there that don't read comics. There are X-Men stories without Magneto in it.
Yeah, and Mystique. Mystique is not nearly this central a character ever in anything. It's almost the only thing that's the real negative to Jennifer Lawrence becoming a megastar is that the X movies kept her around when they shouldn't have. She was perfect in X and X2. Like, she's a Magneto henchman. Like, she's used for infiltration. Like, she's not a centerpiece. I'm sure there's going to be cool moments in this movie. I'm still kind of curious as to who Jessica Chastain is even playing. Some sort of villainous character. She's denied that it's Lilandra from the Shi'ar thing. So, but she could just be yanking our chain. And boy, would I love her to yank my chain. And I really do like Sophie Turner a lot. Like, I want her to do well. I want her to have a career beyond Sansa Stark. So, for her sake, I hope it's not terrible. Part of me is like, boy, it'd be nice if they could integrate the X-Men into the Marvel Universe and keep her, but I know they can't. Like, they cannot do that. I don't even know how they're going to do it with Deadpool because they've said that's the one and only Fox character that is not being recast. Everybody else is. So that's going to be, I'm sure it's going to have to do with the multiverse and the fact that the Thanos snap ripped a hole in the universe and all that stuff. So why Deadpool's the only one that's going to come over, I don't know. Like, we'll see how they do that. But yeah, it's a shame. I wish they had done a real adaptation of Dark Phoenix like a long time ago.
I mean, it could really be its own trilogy.
Yeah, it really could. I mean, they half-assed it in The Last Stand, which is, for my money, the worst X-Men movie, even worse than Apocalypse, and even worse than X-Men Origins Wolverine, which is so terrible.
You think it's worse than Apocalypse?
I do. I think The Last Stand is worse. The Last Stand makes no sense. Makes no sense. The only enjoyment I get from watching that movie is Kelsey Grammer as Adult Beast, who I think is awesome. But other than that, I hate every minute of it.
I say we are the cure.
It's so bad. I can't stand it. And they did sort of the half-assed Dark Phoenix. Like the tease after X2 where Jean dies, but then you see like the outline of the Phoenix underneath the water. I was like, man, X3 is going to be the best movie ever because they're going to do Dark Phoenix. And they were half pregnant on it. Like they didn't commit to the storyline.
Would it have been better if Singer didn't leave?
Probably. As crazy as that, I mean, as much as he's sort of fallen out of favor in the world, he's better than a fucking hack like Ratner.
I don't know though. I ask myself that question sometimes, but what the fuck has Singer done since X2? I mean, Superman sucked.
Yeah.
First Class sucked.
Valkyrie was good. I mean, it wasn't a superhero movie, but it was a good movie. And then he was the one that started directing the Queen movie that came out last year that what's his name won the Oscar for, but he got kicked off of it for being a dick. So I mean, I don't know what else he's done. I wish that there could have been a real commitment to doing this storyline because it's honestly the best storyline.
Well, it is. I mean, to this day, they've never even come close to it in the X universe.
Right. Days of Future Past is probably the closest thing, and that was 2 issues in the comics.
Right.
So I mean, there have been other Extinction Agenda was pretty good. It was okay. But yeah, I agree.
Messiah Complex was pretty good.
Yeah. House of M was awesome, but that's impossible to do without the Avengers. So it's a shame. It's a shame that it ended up like this. And I'm going to go with all the movie has to do to be a really pleasant surprise is not suck because I'm expecting it to really suck.
Hey, listen, if you can't put out a movie that just doesn't suck, then we got fucking issues, brother. All right, Bill, we're getting better at this time management thing. So I'm going to wrap this baby up. And, because, like I said at the beginning of the show, we are putting this thing together ahead of time. We don't know what's going to happen over the next 2 weeks. So I'm not going to really preview anything that we're going to be talking about because this time of year, all kinds of crazy shit happens at the drop of a hat. So I'm sure we'll have a nice big full episode when we get back together in 2 weeks. And it'll be a nice surprise for all of us.
Absolutely. And if you guys have thoughts on who your favorite Batman has been, go to either, Frankie's Twitter or my Twitter or the Facebook page. Give us your ranking. Who's your favorite? Who are, rank them in order 1 through 6. I'm always curious to see what people think, whether they disagree. I'm stunned. Me and Frank both had Ben Affleck in the silver medal position. I'm sure a lot
Still
of people,
stunned.
I'm sure a lot of people don't. So we want to hear what you think. We want it to be as interactive as possible as we continue to try to reach a bigger and bigger audience. But yeah, hit us with it. Let us know where we're wrong.
Yeah, at Frankie C 79 and at BMAZ, that's BMAZZ 1008.
Yep, you got it.
All right, guys. See you in a few.
Late.